We are live. James and Mark Save the World, episode 4?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Wow, this is the fourth one of these now.
Fourth one. Yeah.
We haven't been canceled yet. Into pros.
Yeah. Big time pros. How you doing, man? How was your weekend? Happy Monday?
Pretty good. I it's such a middle class white guy thing I had to go because I'm moving my boat to the coast because the boat I bought is in the mountains of Tennessee, and so I had to go get it all prepped up and ready so that I can move it next week. Which is why we're not going to be doing a show next Monday. We're going to be doing a show Wednesday.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, we'll try to get that squared away and get it scheduled so everyone can come on when they see it.
Because Monday and Tuesday I'll be moving my boat.
That's going to be the name of the show. I'm going to put that. Make sure I have that in the heading. It's like we're moving the regularly scheduled time because James is moving his boat.
Yes.
Very, very man of the people. Another move for you to relate to us common folk.
Yeah, and it's a really big, expensive boat, which is why there's so much of an ordeal to moving it. Is that I have to hire someone with an 18-wheeler and a specialty trailer to load it up and carry it because it's such a large sea-faring vessel.
As you would. I wouldn't expect anything else. Surprised right? Get the National Guard to help you.
I mean, well, they are going to be doing some road closures for us.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because it's too big, so it's an oversized load when they move it. So there is actually going to be some police patrol stuff that's going to be doing.
Are you legitimately one of those douchebags that has like the wide load, like where everyone has to like be behind you? Or
I won't. I'm not doing anything. I'm paying other people to do all of this.
Yeah.
But yes, there will be wide load vehicles going in front of and behind the truck.
Wonderful. You sound like me fixing things around the house. I just pay people to do it.
Well, I mean, I can't lift it. Like it's too heavy, and I certainly can't pull it behind my Toyota Highlander. So.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, yeah, I think that's cool.
Wow, we went from just having that conversation about my boat. We went from 6 people were watching us live down to 1.
Well, I mean, listen, and now nobody. No, I think the I think there's got to be what you have to do at some point is I need you to film some stuff on the boat. I know you already have, but then clip it and just send it to me so that I can actually like put it into some of the stuff that we do, so people can actually see what we're talking about, like what you're talking about, and be like, oh, this is and fun. We'll segue to you being on your boat. Doing James things on the boat.
Well, yeah, and if anybody does want to see that stuff, you can always go to my YouTube channel.
That's true.
Just search James B. Hodge on YouTube, and you can watch those videos. Some of them's on my Facebook too, though. So
yeah,
most of the people who know
awesome.
who we are from my Facebook. So, but
absolutely no. And I think it's cool, man. I bust your balls about it, but I think it's a fun thing. And obviously, if you have the means, then I would highly recommend it because I think it's a really cool thing. My uncle's had a boat for years. Yeah, so have fun with that. Maybe one day I'll be able to come aboard without feeling like you're gonna get lost at sea or something like that. I don't know if I trust you yet, but I'm definitely down.
I have offshore experience now. That's part of what I've been doing for the last year is taking trips. And next spring I'm going to sail from the Virgin Islands to Rhode Island. So
yeah, well that's awesome.
After that trip is done, then I will feel more after doing that like 14 days in the open ocean trip. Then I'll feel a little bit better about taking my boat out in the open ocean.
For sure. I had a very American weekend. I went to a NFL football game. I was my wife and I went to Charlotte for the weekend and took her to see her Cowboys play the lowly Panthers. And I was talking to
before you go any farther. For a second, you like me are a lifelong Giants fan. Look at the colors of the Mark and James and Mark Save the World. We are Giants fans. You are married to a Cowboys fan when they are doing significantly better than the Giants are doing.
Yeah.
Does that cause household tension? Are you worried that your child is going to be a Cowboys fan just because they want to root for a winner? Like,
at this point, man, I'm so apathetic with the Giants. It makes absolutely no difference to me. I cared last year because they made the playoffs, and had a little puff up the chest a little bit, like, oh, look at us, we're in the divisional round, and we got destroyed.
Not the worst team in the league this year.
We're not quite the worst team in the league, but and we won yesterday, which is kind of like one of those things where you're happy but not really, because it's like, what does 3 wins get you? You know what I mean? But no, it's to answer your question, the way it works, and she does this in a very non-condescending way. At least she makes me feel that way. They're significantly better, but she's also one of these Cowboys fans that is not kind of like what I saw a lot of yesterday at the game, which is like, oh, they won that game, and that was like, we're going to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there's such an incredible irrational confidence that Cowboys fans have
every year,
like, overall, and every year the same thing happens until it doesn't, right? I mean, it's been 30 something years since they made a Super Bowl. It's one of those things where she knows that they haven't beaten like the 49ers, they haven't beaten the Eagles in like big time games, so she has a very good kind of identity of who this team is, and she's also very knowledgeable. She's not like, I like their colors. Like, she's like, their offensive line fucking needs to block. You know what I mean? Like, she's not she knows her shit.
And so, she's a Cowboys fan?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. Like, but listen, she's also one of those people, like you mentioned when you were in Carolina, like you grew up a Giants fan, like because there was no team, right? So she grew up in Tennessee, Virginia. A lot of her family were, I think there was like Dolphins fans, and then the way she became a Cowboys fan is very, very girly. I'll just be honest, right? So she was around when Troy Aikman was around, and she was just like, he looks like my Ken doll, and like that's what I wanted. That's how she started to watch football, and then kind of got more immersed into it, right?
Well, that's good. That's better than she became a Cowboys fan because like when she was in high school, she was dating a guy that was a Cowboys fan. Like there were like I know a lot of
I'd have a hard time with that.
That are currently in relationships with dudes that are fans of one team, but they're a fan of a different team because the guy that introduced them to penises was a fan of the other team.
So, yeah, that's not what happened.
Now they're a real dedicated fan, and it's like, this feels disloyal. You don't even care about football.
But like so we went to the game, and it was very striking to me. I know the reasons why, but the Panthers are 1-9 now, but they were 1-8 going into this game. They were close to making the playoffs last year, so it's kind of a huge drop off for them. And to see the amount of Cowboys fans not only descend on Bank of America Stadium, but the city as a whole, like we might as well have been in Dallas, bro. Like I'm telling you, like it's the weirdest feeling. Like I told James pre-show, the only time I've ever witnessed something like this, and there's even bigger reason why, is because when the Yankees play in Tampa Bay, because they have a minor league facility there. A lot of New Yorkers retire to Tampa and that area, St. Pete. I've never seen it. I've literally seen it but I've never seen it like that in the NFL ever. You see some jerseys, like when you go to like a road game, like I went to the Giants in the Panthers game the last 3 times they've been here, and each time there's a good contingent of Giants fans, but it pales in comparison to what the Cowboys did this weekend. It's insane.
Well, I mean, the Cowboys have a massive fan base, especially throughout the South, because there was a long time where they were kind of the only team in the South other than the Florida, other than Miami. Sure. And so it was like that was kind of the only team. Who were they going to root for if they wanted?
There's a big Steelers contingent down here too.
Yeah,
I think that's another part of it too.
I honestly feel like some of that probably happened in the 70s, but a lot 100%. More of that happened, Roethlisberger era. Like you saw a real expansion of Steelers fans with some holdovers from the 70s. But
yeah, I agree with that.
You're gonna see a lot of Washington Commanders fans around here too, because it's the club. It really is. Like of all the names they could have gone with, like what a terrible choice.
They could have just stayed with Redskins, because now there's like a bunch of Native American groups who are like, "Why'd you take this away? This was a sort of source of pride for us." And I'm going to get into this later. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't in this country when it comes to like trying to do the right thing, quote unquote. They try to do the right thing and be politically correct, and now it's like everyone thinks their name sucks, and there's groups that want to change it back to Redskins. It's weird.
Yeah, like the Cleveland Indians choosing to, whether they change the team name or not, changing their logo and changing their mascot, like kind of had to happen. Like there's no middle ground with that. There's nobody There are no Native American groups going, I really wish the Cleveland Indians would bring back that mascot. Like that's, so there are cases where it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, I guess. And the only thing that I would agree with you on that when it comes to that being the Guardians, I'm a huge fan of the movie Major League. If you ever watch the very beginning of Major League, there are Guardians that are on the like the bridge there. I don't know what the bridge that is in Cleveland, but they show it and they pan to it. And that's a big part of why, I feel like that makes more sense because it's about their architecture and their history and everything that comes with it. But I also feel like it's sports. It's like, this isn't society. This isn't about trying to make a grander point. This is just about sports and naming teams. I feel like it's just so dumb. I think
they went with, the Commanders because the Washington Generals was already taken. We know who they are.
I guess, but I feel like if they wanted to do something that made sense, like they could have went Red Wolves, Red Tails, like so that.
Red Tails. I thought Red Tails was a. But the thing is, I wonder if 100 years from now or 50 years from now, somebody would have found a way to turn Red Tails into some sort of, because all it would take is a year of like Trumpy bros all of a sudden referring to people of color as Red Tails, for then that's a racial slur, and then they have to change that. Did you see the word scholar now is getting flagged on Twitter as hate speech? Because a lot of dudes, a lot of these like Trumpy, like Twitter troll bros started whenever they would post a video of a person of color committing a crime or like punching a lady or something, and under it would just be #scholar. And I think it started because some basketball player, like a video of some basketball player hitting his like white girlfriend who was on scholarship, got posted. And so now the new way that they can throw out a coded racial slur is saying scholar. So there's never going to be a set of words that people aren't going to turn around and use to make their racist point with a little wink, wink. And it's gross, but it's language evolves. It will always evolve. It will never stop evolving. And, words come, words go.
Yeah. I also feel like, do you think that that's a great segue, because we'll get into some of this other topic, but does that kind of lend to, should there ever be speech that is restricted? Like if we're going to make up words to mean something else, and it's clear, but it's still not clear because there's still that kind of ability to go, well, I just called that person a scholar. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, whether
that's the whole point is they can use that excuse, and it's such a cowardly way to do it anyways, which is what's to me. But my thing when it comes to, there are free speech. I'm a big free speech advocate, but there are situations you can't yell fire in a crowded movie.
For sure. Yep.
That is not free speech. That is, inciting violence. Some of the stuff that's going on with some of the protesters for, between Palestine and Israel, from the river to the sea, that in itself doesn't sound, but if you really think about what that would mean,
right,
in a literal sense, that is a call for,
arms and anti-Semitic. Yeah.
And so and again, I think there are certain times that people are overly sensitive when it comes to language, but also I'm a middle-aged white dude. Like, there's nothing you can call me where I'm going to get offended. So I don't necessarily think I'm the perfect person to have like a hard set view on this. But to me, like, language is language. Use words. And deal with the consequences. I say whatever you want to say, but then also deal with the consequences. It is not stepping on your First Amendment rights of free speech for a private company like Twitter or Instagram or Facebook to limit the reach of your posts or delete your account. That's a private company. Like, you don't have any constitutional protection from what private companies do. That's one of the reasons why I'm not eliminate the government altogether, is because we need protections from big, powerful private companies that overreach, So, but what a private company does on their platform, is their business. Like you can still go stand in the street and yell whatever you want to yell, but you still have to deal with those consequences. Somebody's going to come up and punch you in the face.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think it's one of those things where I think one of the unintended consequences of some laws that are on the books is you do get these cowardly people who are basically, wouldn't you feel I would love to know which business owners in particular, like where we live, have a problem with people of color, have a problem with specific, if it's a religion, if they're anti-Semitic. Like, go ahead, tell me so I can avoid your restaurant, so that I can avoid. I'm being serious. Like, I feel like that's an unintended consequence of being so like, oh yeah, we can't refuse the right to serve anyone because that's their constitutional right. Like, you saw that a lot with these bakeries that wouldn't do gay weddings and stuff like that. It's like that. I want to see that so that I know not to buy your shitty cupcakes. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
that's fair and all, but it's at the same time, there's the practical nature of if you live in a small town and there's only one bakery with 100 miles and you want to get gay married, you need some sort of protection so that you can get your wedding cake. So whether they want to make your cake or not, they got to make your cake, or they have, so I get your point. I get the value of being able to know these things, but also at the same time, that's not helping the person that can't get a wedding cake now. Or that's not helping.
But that's also,
you're those people, not so you as a white guy know.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about people in general. Right. And you also know that if you live in a small town, that there are other means to get a wedding cake. You can go to fucking Walmart. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, Walmart ain't turned down anybody. All right. Let's just be honest.
Do you want your wedding cake from Walmart?
No, but if you and I were getting married and we couldn't get a cake because random cupcake factory didn't want to see the two of us kiss, then I'm going to Walmart. As simple as that. I just don't like the practice of being offended is about the person. There is literally there is a choice that people make in their lives, whether they're black, they're white, they're whatever you are. It's like I just don't understand. Like, I feel like that it's more about ego than it is about being offended. You can be offended. That happens. I get it, but it's your choice on how you react to it. It's not. It's that's my thing.
Your point isn't invalid. What you're saying is not wrong, but if you're a person who isn't in a position of power, I mean, dude, you and I both have to at times step back and realize that some of our views exist because we've lived in the bubble of protection that comes with being white dudes in America. I mean, you're Mark Zanetto, you're Cuban, but nobody knows that unless you choose to tell them.
What?
So, like, nobody.
But that's also because of stereotypes of what a Hispanic man looks like too. Like, right. Can we just be honest about it? The majority of, I think Tom Segura has a great bit about this. He's like, you want me to blow your fucking mind? He's like, there are Asian people who speak Spanish. Like, I'm sorry you didn't know how to use a map to like know that people all over the world exist and have different skin tones also can speak a different language.
But the people that look like you that are Cuban experience less discrimination than people who look like a stereotypical Hispanic person.
I don't disagree with that at all. I also feel like.
Do you acknowledge that you have had privileges
1,000%
because you're like, and so some of those privileges you don't even know because you can't see them because you've been like, you don't even realize what some of the privileges you've had just because you've never had to think about it. And so I'm not saying like you and I both can have any opinion we want. I think this is a safe and good place for us to share those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't disagree with your point. I agree with your point, but also is all I'm saying.
For sure. So, and this is a perfect segue. I'm telling you, this is a perfect segue into this next topic. Because we could talk about this all day, but I want it to be focused on this specifically. So, two very distinct issues that happened in the last couple of years. You had the George Floyd case where he was murdered by a police officer. We all saw the video. As of I think this morning, or could have been last Friday, the U.S. Supreme Court has denied Derek Chauvin's appeal after his conviction for the murder of George Floyd. So that's great news. He's going to rot in jail, which is where he belongs. Now, on the flip side of that, not even about George Floyd, but a very similar type of. I think this was all in the same time. Like, you have to forgive me. I did have a stroke, so if I have a gap of time that I lost, that you can check me on this. But Kyle Rittenhouse is in the news. So he is the now probably 19-year-old kid. He was 17 at the time, that shot and killed two people in the middle of a mayhem riot, whatever you want to call it. He just came out with a book today called Acquitted. Great holiday gift if you're looking for something for a friend. If you can tell I'm laughing. But no, so only in America I'm just saying, like, only in America can you go out with an AR-15 into an area where you knew there were going to be riots, where you knew there were going to be protesters, kill two people, wound another, and not only be acquitted, but you are celebrated by a political party. Yes. Only in America. To quote Don King, only in America can that happen.
The thing that's so crazy about that is, like, look, I am a gun owner. I am not a ban all guns. I am a supporter of many aspects of the Second Amendment. I also recognize that within the Second Amendment, the word regulate, is in it. Like, so the idea that it's unlimited chaos with guns is stupid. And so when you hear people on the right try to make this argument that the Second Amendment means that I can have all the guns I want, blah, 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 blah. No, you can't. And the Second Amendment never said that. The Supreme Court, even in their most recent rulings, which went more towards that idea, still restrict the fact that you cannot own a stealth bomber. You cannot own a nuclear warhead. Like, it is not unlimited equal. You can't own a nuclear powered submarine. It's like, it's silly when people get so over the top one side with any of this kind of stuff. It's somebody who is, any situation where a person uses this offensive word, they should be canceled, are stupid. And any situation where somebody's like, you should be able to own any gun you want, anytime, anywhere, are stupid. Like, the over the top view from both political sides is, to me, the dumbest and most laughable part of all of American politics right now.
For sure. And just to, so people know, I'm not a gun owner, but I'm very fine with guns. I have no issue with them. I've shot them before.
That's because you don't know how to use it, right?
That's not true. I am very proficient. And the other thing I was going to say is, very proficient.
I thought maybe that was like a wrench for you, like a wrench or a screwdriver, where you were just
nope. This is pretty easy.
Nobody ever taught you how to change a light.
Point and shoot. Get that clip in. Make sure the safety's off. I know what I'm doing. No, but I always love this too, because you get the semantics police if you get into an argument with someone about, when people talk about assault rifles. I think James and I both know, and if you don't know this, you should know this, that an AR-15, the AR does not stand for assault rifle.
Right.
It's Armalite. So if you ever find yourself in an argument with a tried and true Second Amendment hardo, it's just, make sure you know that, because you sound like a moron if you're like, well, it's an assault rifle 15. Like, I'm just saying, you just do. And I'm just saying, James and I have been in these debates before, in these kind of conversations, and when you sound more educated on it, you murder their argument right from the start. If you have some semblance of education on what this gun is, and yes, it's been used in many, many mass shootings. So if you have that just that small little bit of information, it makes your argument sound that much better. That's just food for thought.
I mean, and again, there's literally, and again, I know enough about guns and have enough experience with them that I know that an AR-15 is a terrible hunting rifle.
Oh, for sure.
It is. Like, the ammo, like, one, the ammo is too small. Two, it goes too fast, and it has crap range compared to a decent high-end hunting rifle. And, like, the actual rifle that you would want to use to shoot a deer is way more like a sniper rifle than an AR-15. The ammo's bigger. There's more, the only argument for why I want an AR-15 is just say it. You want one. Say that's
They're
why.
fun. Can I
That's
just
what
be honest with you? They're fun. Have you ever
they're
shot one? They're fucking fun as hell.
fine. Like, just be honest about why you want it. But it's a terrible weapon to use for home defense because the bullets will go right through a wall and hit somebody in the next room. The best gun for home defense is a shotgun because you want something that's got birdshot in it. So you're going to injure the person, put them down, but you're not going to kill them. Also, you don't have to worry about it going through the wall and killing whoever's in the next room or killing your neighbor. So
Right.
like there, I mean, or a medium caliber handgun. Like those are home protection weapons. And then there's weapons that are designed for hunting. Then there's weapons that are designed for clearing out a small compact building with enemy combatants or jungle warfare. Like that's what an AR-15 is literally just the civilian version of an M16.
Yeah.
Like that's all it is. It is specifically meant for military. It was designed that way. They even chose the size of the ammo that goes in it so that it was lighter so soldiers could carry more ammo because they realized that was what decided battles was who had the most ammo and whose bullets did the most damage when they made contact.
So now I have an ethical question for you. Now that we know that Kyle Rittenhouse has been acquitted, whether you agree with the jury's decision or not is not the point. My ethical question to you, James B. Hodge, is he did kill 2 people and he wounded someone else. All 3 of the men in question, this isn't bullshit, these are facts, all 3 are felons. One is a convicted pedophile and the other has a history of domestic abuse. Those are the 2 men that were killed. The last who is injured and is alive and thriving, I'm sure today, is a convicted burglar and has, ironically, weapons charges. So is the world better off with the 2 people that Kyle Rittenhouse killed?
The world is not better off when anybody gets killed. I'm not a big fan of murder. You can go out and kill 50 people. You can be a serial killer. I personally believe in that situation. You should be thrown in a jail cell, locked up, and you live out your days and rot and die there. I don't think the government should kill people. I don't think anyone should kill someone else unless it's in an act of overt self-defense. That is my take on it.
Sure.
I don't think there's ever, and in the abstract, can you say maybe that? I mean, but I think that's just like sort of a semantic argument where I have no idea what those guys were going to do in the future. I don't believe in predictive punishments. I don't believe just because you've done this that you should assume you're going to do it again. I mean, I don't know if the world's a better place or not, but I know the world's not a better place if someone can do what that kid did and not only not face consequences, but be celebrated for it.
That's where I disagree slightly because the last part I agree with 100%. It makes me kind of sick in the stomach that he is celebrated for, basically because I had this argument a long time ago with a conservative friend that I don't talk to anymore. And if you're watching, you can go fuck yourself.
Names?
No, but no, I'm not going to give you a name. No, but like what pissed me off about it is like it becomes more semantics than anything. Because his argument at the time is like he had every right to go and defend his family or his friend's property, whatever the defense was that he did, right? And I said, well, you have to think of it from this perspective. He's 17 years old. I don't care if you're 17 and you know how to use a gun and that's just like part of your culture and your background, but you went across state lines. You literally took a AR-15 to a protest. And right. Kyle Rittenhouse, put yourself in this situation.
Right.
No one came knocking on your door and then tried to beat the shit out of you. Like what happened in the street is he had his AR-15. I don't think he was out hunting like the defense tried, the prosecutors tried to pin it as, and I think that's why they lost the case. He literally was just out there because he's a lost, confused kid who thought he was doing what he had to do to kind of save property or friends as like a vigilante medic, whatever he wanted to call himself. And then when people approached him, he did exactly what everyone would do in that situation, which is defend yourself to the fullest extent so that you didn't die. But he shouldn't have been there to begin with. That's the beginning of the argument that I think that I have the biggest issue with is regardless of whether you agree with what he did, if you think it was self-defense or not. Shouldn't have been there in the first place. You even fucking live in that city.
I'm disagreeing though, because that's exactly what I think. That's I think we actually basically just agree on that. Then
absolutely.
I think it's unfortunate that kid is getting to profit off
easily.
What happened. I think that's unfair. I think the people that he shot, their families should at least be attempting civil cases against him, so that whatever money he does make, he doesn't get. In the same way that OJ got acquitted too, but the families sued him in civil court. He was found civilly liable for the deaths. Now, whatever money he makes, they get. And to me, that's that would be better than the kid gets to sit back and make a profit off of this. But I don't know. The whole thing's a mess. Every time right now with everything that's going on with Israel and Palestine, I posted a thing this weekend because I was just so annoyed watching people argue and go back and forth about what was going on with Israel and Palestine. And my hot take on it is one, I didn't, start posting all these anti-war memes when there was a war going on in Yemen, and 300,000 Muslims died. I wasn't, Syria. I wasn't getting up in arms and going out and protesting in the streets either. So I don't feel like I need to have an over-the-top take on what's going on between Israel and Palestine, other than the fact that this is clearly a religious war. This is one religious group fighting another religious group over, and their only claim to the land is that their God says it's theirs. So and I think if your God is telling you that you should go out and kill people, then you have a shitty God. That is my only take on it. But I am an atheist. I think all religion is stupid. I don't think it's. Oh, somebody just asked, can Mark play the piano in an upcoming segment? Well,
yes.
That's not a real piano.
Why do you keep telling people it's not real? Let them believe what they want to believe.
Well, because when your arm moves, people, you can see that.
You can't tell that this is a green screen.
Because the bar that holds up your mic vanishes and reappears. I think everyone can tell. I can play piano. There's a piano about 15 feet from me right now.
John, I'll make sure I'll sing something next time. I have a better voice than I am.
Oh, don't do that. That's not fun.
What, to sing something?
Oh, Mark. I don't know. Maybe you have a beautiful singing voice.
I have a wonderful singing voice.
Give us a few notes.
What would you like to hear?
Probably not you singing.
Okay, then don't ask. I'm just saying, I will surprise you on a separate episode. I'm not gonna break the flow.
Yeah, you got to prepare, right? You got to get your voice all loosened up, do some vocal exercises.
Yeah. No. I think I agree with you. I think I just have such an issue with I've seen so many videos of people posting people who have been kidnapped, and then one side rips them down, and there's this big issue, and it's just I don't know. I know that the name of our podcast is James and Mark Save the World, but obviously you guys know we're joking. But it's one of those things where I don't know what the solution is in this situation. They've been fighting for thousands of years.
Stop killing people.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I have a same another philosophical question for you. If what happened in Israel, I'm talking about not overall. I'm not going into the history of Israel, Palestine, in Gaza and Hamas and all that. Okay, I'm talking about just the seminal moment of people coming into their country from Palestine and murdering 2,000, 3,000 people, whatever the number is the proportional response to then just be oh, okay, well, that was terrible, but we shouldn't kill anybody anymore. I think they're doing exactly what any country would do to protect themselves.
I'm not saying that it's not. The point is they're never going to stop killing each other until they stop killing each other. That's the bottom line. This war has been going on since 800 AD. This is
right. No, I get that.
Not new. And really, if you think about it, it goes back even farther than that. So the idea that somehow there's gonna be a military solution to this is ridiculous. There is no military solution to this problem. It has to be a matter of eventually they just decide to stop killing each other. And I mean, there's really, I mean,
That
it
ain't
is,
happening, bro.
they either have to, like, I used to, when I first started out as a comic, back when I was, doing my best to be old Stanhope, I actually had a joke that was like, I can cure all the problems in the Middle East. Like, I can cure it completely, instantaneously. Every one of those problems would be immediately solved. Because in the Bible, in the book of Revelations, it says that when the great attack comes on Israel from the north, that God himself will appear and stop the attack. And so my thing is we can prove once and for all that their religions are valid. All we have to do is drop some nukes on Israel and Palestine and the whole Middle East, and God will show up and stop it. And then we can all drop to our knees and pray and agree that, like, Allah and God is great. And if not, either way, problem solved. That's a terrible, terrible joke, but that was my brand new comic. I'm going to make an edgy joke. But like, outside of one of them completely annihilating the other one, and I mean completely annihilating the other one, there is no military solution. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I just
some sort of peaceful resolution, and until they're all willing to agree to do that, they're not going to stop. It's going to keep going, and then one side's going to respond, because what happened, with when Hamas invaded and killed the people in the music, all of that in their mind was a response to something that Israel had done. And what Israel had done was a response to something that, Hamas, like, and this is all, it is a back and forth until they agree to stop.
right.
And
it's like one of those things where
God wants them to do it. This isn't like a regular war where it's Germany versus England and the United States, where one side wins and the other side surrenders, and then you go in and you help rebuild, and then everybody starts buying cars from each other again. It's not a military, it's not a problem that can be solved through military, because nobody in Germany, like, once the war was over, felt like they had to keep the war going, because if they didn't, then they were going to burn in hell for it. Like, that's
right. Well, that's the thing, man. It's like, then it's a zero-sum game. Like, there may not be a military solution to it, but they're sure as hell going to try. I can tell you that right now. I don't think
there's no
Israel is not going to fuck around. I'm telling you that right now. Like, when this started, I was just like, they're gonna keep bombing the shit out of that out of Gaza and out of Palestine.
They didn't fuck around in 48 either. They didn't fuck around in the 60s. They didn't fuck. Yeah. I mean,
go watch Munich. Watch Munich. Don't fuck with Israel.
I mean, exactly. But like, that's the thing. They keep not fucking around. And truth of the matter is, best to their abilities, Hamas isn't fucking around. Like, and they're going to keep not fucking around till either they kill each other off completely, or they come to a peaceful solution.
Yeah. No, I agree. I am very pro-Israel. I just, I don't.
I am too. I mean, my point being that when I say I am pro-Israel, I think it's good that Israel exists.
Correct.
And I think it should continue to exist. But that doesn't mean I'm not also pro the Palestinian people and their ability to live safely and exist. And so I am pro anybody that's not trying to kill the other people.
For sure. I mean, listen, but I feel like anytime there's war, whether it's, whether we were in the right to do this, but when we were, invading, not invading, but like retaliating for 9/11 for, multiple different countries, there are so many, there are people that die in the fog of war, and it sucks. And like, there's nothing that can be done about that. Like, and that's callous to talk like that, but it's the truth. Like, I mean, what Israel is doing, they feel like they're just for, and I know that the same thing goes with Palestine and Palestine. But I don't know, man. Like you said, there's no easy solution to it. I just, I feel for friends of mine who are Jewish, who kind of are just Absolutely. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just going through Absolutely. It. And like, that's my biggest, that would be my biggest concern or thought at this moment.
I completely feel for my Jewish friends that are suffering from this. And I also feel for my Muslim friends who are suffering from this. And the reality is I wish that both of those groups, like all of those people, would wake up tomorrow and realize that the solution is that they have to stop believing that their higher power wants them to kill people.
That's very fair.
There is absolutely positive, like there is no way of getting around the fact that when someone believes that what the life that they are taking is in service of their God and their faith and their religion, there's no compromise. There's never going to be a solution. And I understand that a lot of Jewish people in Israel are secular. I understand that as much as they can be, there are Muslims who are more secular and not, the best comparison would be like an Old Testament Christian, and then there's New Testament Christians. And I know that there's, more secular Jewish people and there's more secular Muslims. And those are the people that are like, we shouldn't be killing anybody. But the ones that go off the books that they all consider to be, inspired by their creator, those books all say you're supposed to kill and fight to protect the religion. Like you're not, like the Bible says thou shalt not kill, but it also says that you should be a defender of the faith. Like it's
right. Well, now that we've sufficiently bummed everybody out,
well, we had to save the world. It's our job.
Yeah.
And we're going to say, me and you, like nobody's going to be able to save the world better than us, right? Like if they just charge tomorrow.
I mean, I'm wearing a Saved by the Bell shirt. What are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Because you've got like Zach power, like Zach attack, baby. Like I'm telling you, you and I, if we were made dictators, the reason the world would get better is because we're both lazy and we wouldn't be doing a lot.
That's not
so
true.
Things would just sort of being able to work themselves out.
Speak for yourself.
We'd be playing golf and we'd be sitting here bitching about the Giants.
Yeah. We'd be like a president. We'd just go play golf and hang out.
Let
everybody else handle it.
Don't work very hard.
No, it's true. It's because it's a lifetime achievement award. And by the way, happy birthday to Joe Biden, 81 today. 81 and still kicking, baby. Wow, our president is 81 years old.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He is. I mean, he is almost a decade older than my mom. He is almost 2 decades older than my dad ever made it to be, who died of basically old age. Like he is old.
He's old.
He is an old man, and he has absolutely no business being our president, other than the fact that it's better him than Trump. Like it is ridiculous that our options are, and apparently are about to be again, Joe Biden or Donald Trump. But I'm going to walk.
This wasn't something I planned. But do you think, because of how ridiculous these choices are, do you think that I read that there's a bunch of stuff going on in the behind the scenes, whether it's Joe Manchin and Mitt Romney are thinking about doing a no labels party, and then there's obviously Robert Kennedy Jr. I know he's a crazy boy, but my point is that do you feel like there's a year from now, there's going to be like 4 or 5 or 6 options because people are so kind of like, it can't be either one of these two fuckers.
Well, one, in most states, especially swing states, it's already too late to even get on the ballot.
I don't think that's true. I think there's I know that that's a valid concern.
But like there are a handful of states where they can get on the ballot. I think the majority of states they would be on, but there's no way that any third party candidate at this point, with as little organization as they have, is going to be able to do anything other than play spoiler.
Which is fine by me.
The matter is I'm fairly sure that a Mitt Romney, Joe Manchin ticket is just going to be guaranteed Trump gets.
You're not blown away by Joe Manchin and Mitt Romney? That doesn't blow your hair back?
I'm just saying that there are going to be a lot of moderates, and there are going to be a lot of moderates that vote that ticket. They would probably pull 12. It would probably be, a Ross Perot-esque number of votes that they would probably do as well as he did. But in that situation, what that does, with the already advantages that Republicans have within the Electoral College, it's just going to guarantee that Trump wins, and he'll win in a overwhelming landslide because all the swing states will end up going to Trump because the places like Arizona that are already close, the people that are Trump are Trump.
Yeah,
and there are some that won't, but there's a lot more people that are only reason they vote for Biden is because he's not Trump.
it's true.
So,
all right, let's get to your topic. The one that we kind of got contentious about boxing last week, but that's not what we're going to talk about. You challenged me to watch some NBA games, of which I did. And
how many?
How many in total?
Yes.
From start to finish, I'd say like 3.
Okay.
So again,
this is any other like 4 quarters, anything?
No, I mean, like I've been, there's always sports on in my house. So if there's a game on, it's late at night. It's typically NBA because, unless it's a weekend, there's no football. So, no. So what I'm going to say to you is that these are my impressions of the NBA and the NBA in-season tournament. Okay.
All right.
They're doing a horrible job of showing us NBA in-season tournament standings. First off, okay.
True. This is correct. That's confusing.
Exactly. But so are we just supposed to guess when these games are on, or is it because what's that?
It's Tuesdays and Fridays.
Again, I'm a casual NBA fan until it gets later in the season. So
no,
I'm saying
marketing has been shit. They have
the best thing about the NBA in-season tournament is the stupid Michael Imperioli commercial, the ad that is like the vague, like, hey, I got a new idea. Like that's a fucking really well-run spot. But they run it every once in a while. If you're a casual NBA fan, you don't know when the games are on. Okay, now I know it's Tuesdays and Fridays. Cool. I'm sure I'll forget that when this podcast is over. And I know I'm getting older, but if you want the average fan to come around to this, you got to stop the regular season it can't just be Tuesdays and Fridays. If you're playing an in-season tournament, you have to play the fucking tournament. Like, what are we doing?
And again, this is from what I understand. The reason they're doing it this way is because they wanted the games to, even if you were already eliminated because they're doing the round robin thing, they still wanted the game to be meaningful because it affected your place in the standings. So they are regular season games and they're tournament games. So they wanted it so the games mattered other than just to win this tournament. And so I think it should be a single elimination tournament. I think as soon as they get to 32 teams, which is going to be in the next couple of years, it will become a single elimination standalone tournament. I think that is what will eventually happen. But for right now, with the number of teams and with the idea of they wanted to interest European and Asian fans with this tournament by doing it in a way that European fans are accustomed to, because this is the way, EuroLeague does it. This is the way, basically soccer tournaments within the big professional leagues in Europe and in Asia. This is the way they do their in-season tournament. So they took that structure. I think it in the long run won't matter because it will eventually get American style single elimination March Madness-esque tournament. Okay. But before now, I think this was the unfortunate compromise. But the games have been most of the time, the games have been competitive. There have been some blowout games. There have been a star set, but for the most part, the stars have all played. You've seen them, especially if the game was close, you've seen them playing to the end, and you've been seeing teams trying to win.
What does it say about the NBA that the things that you just said shouldn't just be commonplace?
I mean, it's an 82-game season, dude. There are nights where
Anthony Davis gets paid $62 million a year. You're trying to tell me that I'm supposed to pretend that I give a shit about him playing NBA basketball and whether or not he gets his frail ass hurt when he makes $62 million a year? And you're buying, if you're in LA, you're buying what, $200 a seat tickets to watch this dude play, and he doesn't show up. I'm saying that's at minimum, like in the nosebleeds.
Go to a bar and watch a Lakers game in LA.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like I
know. No, it's way more expensive than $200 to even have
a seat. I'm saying, like, if you're in the last row of fucking crypto, whatever, or what used to be Staples Center.
even then, it's hard to get. There are tickets that you can get on their web. There are tickets that you can get for $200. It's hard to do. It's hard to see a Lakers game for less than $400 per ticket.
A person, you're saying?
Yeah, per person.
Okay, let's
Just
I'm
because every-
literally let's talk about it. I'm literally
They
looking
sell
it
out.
up right
Their
now.
games all sell out and they all end up on the secondary.
You can buy tickets for $50. So let's stop with the bullshit. Verified resale ticket right now, Lakers versus Jazz tomorrow at 7:00 at crypto.com in LA. Last row of section 314, $50 to $55. Absolutely. So my point is like you're gonna spend you're gonna spend $200 regardless.
I was totally wrong about that. I swear I thought because Lakers games used to every game was sold out.
Those are verified resale tickets. So like someone is got season tickets and they're reselling it.
Right.
And it's $55 because it's a fucking Tuesday night against the Jazz. You know what I mean? Like now, when I used to have
in-season tournament game,
what's that?
So it's
which is an in-season tournament game apparently because it's a Tuesday. Woo! Real quick, this is since they don't advertise the standings and no one knows what the fuck's going on. I am doing everyone a service here. This is the right now the standings, if you will, right? So we got the Lakers, the Nuggets. Is that the T-Wolves? Yeah, 2-0.
Yeah.
Jazz are 2-0. Pacers, Heat. So why hasn't Toronto played any in-season tournament games? Like, what the fuck? Do you see what I'm saying? This is the dumbest shit ever, dude. Like, you got to be kidding me. So some people have played 3 games. Some people have played no games or 1 game. And it also will lead to, as I switch the brand off now, I'm going to get this off and put our logo back on. Just listen to your boy. You've mentioned Kevin Durant as your favorite NBA player. Listen to him talk. He was asked about the NBA in-season tournament specifically by, I think his name is Dwayne Martin. He's a reporter out west.
Well, before you play this, one more time, put back up what you just had on the screen so that people can see where Phoenix is at. So
they're 0-1.
Right. So they're basically probably already eliminated.
Oh, okay.
Now,
skew the bullshit. This is so they've lost 1 game and now they're eliminated. What the fuck tournament is this? It's so dumb.
I'm just saying. It's
listen to the literally top 5 player in the NBA talk about the NBA in-season tournament.
I'm with you. My favorite.
No, not really. Just regular programming for us.
The question, just so we're clear, the question was, do you guys take the NBA in-season tournament differently than a regular season game? And let me start that back.
Not really. No, not really. Just regular programming for us, man. I mean, we go out there and I think the point differential is the only thing. I'm sure I'll take a peek at that as we play more of these games, but it feels like a regular season.
Yeah,
not done yet. But no. So he just said, I'm gonna have to look into it. These dudes don't even know what the fuck they're playing, dude. Like that's the thing. Like no one gives a shit. They don't care. They don't care.
It's the first year, but 10 years from now, when a team wins the title and didn't also win the in-season tournament, and everybody in the media is saying their title is less valuable because they didn't get the double, which it will become referred to as that. Just like
so dumb.
I'm just saying,
the dumbest shit of all time, dude.
Well,
there is no way the American media is going to start hyping this up if the freaking players, the top players, don't buy in. No one will. That's the point.
Right now, if the Nuggets win the in-season tournament this year and they started off with they just won the finals and they've got double in a single year, that will become a thing that other teams are striving for. Tradition doesn't happen overnight. People don't.
No, I know that, but you're misinterpreting the point, which is if you don't, it's very similar to a team is constructed. If your best players don't buy in, then the rest of the team aren't going to buy into the coach telling you what to do. It's as simple as that. You need your best players to buy into this. And they clearly are not. This isn't the only clip. I have more, but I just did this specifically because of Kevin Durant.
You can also find clips of players that are into the idea. I am not expecting any of the players this year, especially in this early part when they're doing the round robins to see who gets to Vegas. I don't expect any of the players to take this serious yet. I wasn't assuming they were gonna. They are. You have seen that in the games they are trying to like win the game, even when it's a loss. You'll see them trying to reduce the point differential because they do. The coaches clearly, at least, are trying to make sure their teams have a chance of advancing. Like
what makes me laugh about this though is so this is Kevin Durant. He's on the Phoenix Suns, right?
right.
The head coach of the Phoenix Suns is with Frank Vogel.
Right.
Very first game of the season, he said something to the effect of, "Yeah, man, like we're all so excited about the in-season tournament. That's our first goal is we're going to try to win that hardware." And then his best player is just like, I mean, it's the same. That's what makes me laugh.
But ask them again if the Suns do manage to win out the rest of their round robin games and they do get to Vegas. And then once they play in the semis and the finals, if the Suns win, if they win that game and they walk off the court like it was a regular season win, I will completely acknowledge the point that you're trying to make right now.
Again, no, that to me, that's fair. But I also want to tell you that the reason why this isn't a big deal with the players is because they get paid. They're already look at Kevin Durant. He is so disinterested with any of this shit because my man already makes $50 million a year. He's probably almost a billionaire right now. Do you really think it matters to the players that they're going to win a couple extra $1 million? It doesn't mean anything anymore. If hold on a second. Let me just say this. If it was something like the Live Golf Tour where like it was astronomical money, these dudes would be fighting tooth and nail because some of the players on the team are, $5-6 million a year guys. They're not the $50-60 million max guys. And so if it was something like huge profit shares because of if that's where this goes, then I could totally see this taking off.
One, it's going to, the money's probably going to go up, and the teams are also probably going to get something like a provisional draft pick eventually, those kind of things. There's going to eventually be more to it than just winning the trophy. It might be something like if you're in the play-in, but you won the in-season tournament, you automatically qualify for the playoffs without having to do the play-in. Like, there'll be something over time probably as this grows to give it more, but none of it matters until it matters. None of these guys have played these games. They haven't had the experience. They haven't seen somebody else. These guys are competitive as shit. When they see somebody else holding up that trophy, the next year they might give a little bit more of a fuck. And then 10 years from now, once this has become tradition and people are flying out to Vegas so they can be at the finals games, I mean, everything new has to grow. It has to develop an audience. It has to, to me, there's no negative that comes from this. There's no reason not to do it.
Well, I mean, I think there is a negative, and thank you for saying that because I wanted to get to this point. What you said, everyone's competitive. I'll bring up another point as to why that's not true. What if someone gets hurt during the in-season tournament and it ruins their shot of winning the NBA title? What do you think that if that actually happens? Do you think that this is going to turn into, we're trying to get that in-season chip? No, come on.
People get hurt in regular season games all the time.
I know, but if you're adding more value to these meaningless in-season tournament that supposedly is going to mean something 10 years from now. No, the finals is not meaningless.
No, the reason they have meaning is because we have assigned them meaning.
Correct, which you're manufacturing meaning, and it's very similar to like the World Baseball Classic. That happens before the season, and guys have literally torn their rotator cuffs. They've because they're pitching for their country, but it's a made-up tournament. Like you're making a tournament,
Mark. Like
currently the NBA. The NBA has been around forever. It's not. I'm not talking about just like nothing matters. Like of course nothing truly matters. Right. But like what are we talking about? We're talking about what matters in the sport. In the NBA in-season tournament, they're doing I already talked about it. They're doing a shitty job of marketing this. 2, the players don't give a fuck. You can say that they do, but they don't. And if someone gets hurt in the middle of the single elimination because they're trying to bust their balls, they're gonna lose this tournament. It's gonna go away. If you're trying to tell me if Kevin Durant tears his ACL in the semifinals of the in-season tournament, they're just gonna be like, oh well.
Yeah.
Oh well.
because
Okay.
it's going to be $1 billion. Look, this TV deal, once this thing builds up and it starts getting ratings, they are going to sell this as a standalone package to Amazon or to Facebook or to one of the big online companies, and it's going to be the Amazon in-season tournament, and the league's going to get an extra $1 billion for it.
Sure,
It's
and
not-
the guy,
look,
it's
this
still
is about money.
still gonna get absolutely no ratings.
Until it does.
So how long is that going to take?
I have no idea. The NBA Finals, how many titles did the Celtics win back in the day when literally nobody in this country gave a shit about the NBA?
But we actually
people
care
in
about.
Boston didn't go to see their championship team when they won 11 titles, like within a tiny period of time, because nobody gave a fuck about the NBA at that point. And
Again,
the league
but
grew over time.
people care about it now, and
Right.
the fact that you are messing with it is the reason why I don't think it's going to do well. Is because people are creatures of habit. They don't want to fucking go, oh, the court is weird today. It must be an in-season tournament. It's so
But
fucking
again,
dumb.
this is in the same. Like this is this is the example I'm gonna give you. You were talking about you went to the Cowboys game, right?
Yep.
And at that Cowboys game, the Panthers are an expansion team versus the Cowboys. So there are a lot of Cowboys fans. So until literally a generation from now, you're going to see more loyal Panthers fans because Grandpa was a Panthers fan, and then Dad's a Panthers fan, and now the kid's a Panthers fan. And
The
so
Panthers have been around for 35 years. Okay.
right.
So, and they've been to more recently have been to a more meaningful
Right.
playoff games in a Super
Absolutely.
Bowl than Cowboys fans have.
Right.
They recently had the best record in football. They were 15-1,
Right.
4 or 5 years ago. There is absolutely no reason that you could convince me that it should have looked like that. I understand 25% of the stadium being Cowboys fan, but 75%. I'm not being using hyperbole.
Tradition
any-
takes time. Tradition
but
takes time.
Also, shitty records matter too.
Absolutely.
If the Panthers were 5-3,
that's all true.
no
My
one's selling their
only
tickets.
My only point is that there is a generation of people that live in North and South Carolina that will never stop being whatever fan of whatever team they were before. But maybe their kid is. And so it's like the Dallas Cowboys were an expansion team at one point and had to build and win a lot and build their own fan base. And the in-season tournament, it's the same thing. It will grow. It might be 15 years, but it might be, who knows, but it's going to be a massive amount of money for the league. So they're not going to get rid of it. And eventually it will matter, just like it matters now in Eurosports, where it didn't used to. It used to only be whoever won the cup at the end of the year was the only thing that mattered. I mean, before that, they didn't.
Are you a soccer guy? Are you a soccer guy too?
My wife is a soccer lady. I have become more.
So no, is what you're telling me.
I now can sit and watch soccer and not be like, this is the most boring thing I've ever seen. And the last couple of World Cups, I have greatly enjoyed watching.
That's different. I feel like international play like that. I'm saying like the way the media forces soccer down our throats now, it's like it's supposed to be like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it sucks. I'm here to tell you that soccer still sucks.
I don't know. It has grown on me, but again, I will never be a soccer fan the way that I am a baseball or basketball or football fan. But I have at least learned to like the game. I do enjoy watching.
I respect it. I respect the athletes that play it. But I feel like as a sport in general, it's just not. Do you think about the World Cup? How many times the Americans almost scored? Could you imagine if the highlights on SportsCenter were like Kevin Durant crossover? Look at that! Oh, it rimmed out. That was
whatever. You watch the NFL. How many times have you gotten excited because your team take away the field goal in football, and it's the same amount of scoring as soccer?
But there's action, like people catching and running and throwing. This is just kicking a ball.
Look, I'm not the guy to defend soccer. What
the fuck are you talking about? You will literally take the other side of any argument that I have.
I'm literally not taking the other side. That was the point I was just making. Is look, I'm not the guy to defend soccer. It's not my thing. I have learned to appreciate it more. But to apparently most of the world, it's way better than what we're into. And
Yeah,
so
but you know why that is, right? Like, I mean, if we're talking about saving the world, I mean,
because they couldn't,
part,
a lot of places in the country they can't afford helmets and pads. All
exactly,
they could
exactly.
play
Do
was
you
dirt
think
and ball.
exactly? Like, do you fucking think in some dirt patch anywhere in the country where they find a rock to kick, it's like this is the greatest thing in the world, and that's amazing. That's what makes the international play so much better and so much more like enthralling versus MLS, like a bunch of fucking dudes that like are playing to 10,000 people that are pumped about guys kicking a ball and hitting it with their head. It's stupid. I'm sorry. It's
I'm
just dumb.
just saying, like that. You go to England where they have all the sports as options, and you watch their fans freak out as much, and in many cases more than anybody here freaks out for a sporting event. Like those people love that.
I know.
I mean,
But in my experience with Brits, a lot of them love soccer because British culture is very kind of like, like it's very like self-deprecating. They love a good joke. They love dark humor. That's a big part of why soccer is so popular because it's like it's excruciating,
and they love it too.
But that's what's so excruciating about the sport is that it's such a tough watch, not just because of the scoring, but because the lack of action. Like I feel like it's a perfectly British sport. It's exactly what the British people are about.
I understand. I get what you're saying, but I'm also saying like it is a sport that regardless of culture, regardless of outside of America, where we just never got into it and they can keep trying MLS. I think eventually that is going to grow and that is probably going to become popular. And I'm not saying it's going to replace one of the big three now, but it's going to at least get to where hockey is. I mean, I
can't get into hockey either.
I mean, I can't either. I tried. Like we have the Carolina Hurricanes here. I've really tried to get into it. It's just I don't.
The Hartford Whalers. That's the Hartford Whalers.
I mean,
I grew up. That's probably part of it too. So I wouldn't even call it bitter. It's like no one cared that the Whalers left. We just liked their logo. Like we were like, that's so cool. Oh man, they're gone. They still sell that at the Hartford airport, by the way. It's a whole really Whalers store. Yep. So
that's really funny. I want a Hartford Whalers jersey just so I can wear it to a Hurricanes game.
I told Catherine, my wife, that a few years back when they were poised to make the Stanley Cup final, they were all going to be wearing red. I was just like, we're going to go buy 2 green Whalers jerseys and buy front row tickets and sit in the front row wearing our Whalers jersey, like, yay, in a sea of red, like as like a protest, like, fuck these guys for stealing our team. But no, it's a great jersey. I have nothing against the Hurricanes. You know what I mean? Like hockey's just, it's cool. Like, again, another sport. Playoffs come, I'm into it. But
dude,
it's just
guy just got his throat slit in a hockey game the other day. Like, I mean, talk about an exciting sport with lots of action. I can't believe you're not a fan. It's a blood sport.
This is a great segue, and then we'll go. But I heard Chris Long, who's a former defensive end, he has a great podcast, talk about how there's been a ton of
Howie Long's son.
Yes. But he's also a Super Bowl champion and very funny. And he said that he would be in for, like, there's been a ton of fights at stadiums. I didn't see any fights at the Panthers game, by the way. But in like SoFi, at the Tampa Bay Stadium, a bunch of places, he was like, you guys are morons. He's like, I think the NFL should capitalize on this. Take the 2 guys who are fighting, or how many people it is, find a cage somewhere in the stadium, build it out, put sponsors, and when a game is awful, we're just going to go to the cage and see what 2 drunk assholes are fighting. And that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Just like just throw in like a couple of assholes.
Mike is a business executive for Xerox.
Yes.
304 pounds and can jog exactly 1/8 of a mile. Taking on Steve, who weighs 136 pounds, yet is 6'4", has the reach advantage, but I think he might be outclassed in weight. And just watch those 2 drunk assholes wail on each other. That would be incredible.
And they can call it, and then you could like call timeouts, be like, I need to get my buddy in here, tag that guy in, and be like, this is Jim. Jim is an account executive at a company in Charlotte. He beats his wife, but let's see if he can do something here. Like, it's just like whatever. I just think I think it would be great. I think it would be awesome to
He's got 2 domestic violence convictions, Steve. So let's see if he can handle his hands when it's not a lady. Like that would be great. That would be incredible. Here's Frank. He's got 2 assault weapons charges. So let's see what happens when he's only got his guns. Like I mean,
That'd be great. I mean,
It's
it's
like
such a
hobo
brilliant.
fight for people who
Yes,
pay taxes. Yeah.
it's such a brilliant fight because look, two consenting adults just throw them in a cage together, and they'll probably just go, "All right, I don't want to do this." Just walk out.
And then everybody boos them
Yeah.
like, really? Pussy. Boo. Boo.
It totally would be that way. Well, listen, we went a little bit over. It's as always very fun time. For next week, we are not going to be on a Monday. So if you catch this late, I want you to subscribe to the podcast and podcast YouTube page, that little fancy ticker down there. James, always a pleasure. We will send out details for our next show. I believe it'll be either not next week, but the week after, correct?
Yeah, well, we're probably going to, like, next Monday, like a week from today is when I'm going to be moving the boat. So let's just go ahead and say it now. Wednesday of next week is when we're going to do our next one of those. But yeah, guys, do that. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Check out Mark on X. What's your X handle, Mark?
Oh, you're gonna make fun of me, but but there's a story behind it, so I will tell you what it is. It is Smooth Z.
Make sure you spell it so they know.
Yep, Smooth Z CBV. That's it. That's my Twitter or X handle. I'll put it.
Follow me at James B. Hodge on Twitter, Instagram. I just went in and did the same thing.
You did your whole name? Yeah, you did just your whole name.
Well, it was gonna be James Hodge, but somebody beat me to it. There's still at James Hodge on Twitter with like 2 followers.
What a dick!
I know, right? But I'm not gonna give some money for it. So
no, and I did that as that's an inside joke with a guy I used to work with. Everything was smooth. It's so smooth. It's so smooth. And I was just like, that just stuck in my head when I wanted to give No, that's just it. That was his language. That was just his entire language was no, because he taught tennis. Like, oh, how smooth are you? Like, dude, it's a whole other, it's a story for another day.
Well, I think we would all be embarrassed if they saw our first email address, whatever, I know
2sexy79 at gmail.com or at hotmail.com.
No, yeah. Everybody had an embarrassing email address. You just managed to hold on to your Twitter handle through all the years.
No.
Is there an at Mark Zanetto?
It actually, I mean, it's like if you look up at Mark Zanetto 7 and on Twitter, that's what will pop up. That's just kind of I just like, for me, like, I don't care if people see my name on here, but on X, it's kind of like whatever. My face is on there. You can see my face as much as you want, but keep your name out my mouth.
Mark Zanetto. All right. Well, for everybody, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, follow Mark on Twitter, or X or whatever, or Instagrams. And what's your IG handle?
It's the same thing. Everything's the same. Smooth Z CBV. Okay. Yep. Okay. Just to keep it all the same. And then our YouTube channel is James and Mark Save the World at YouTube. So check that out. Subscribe to the page. Peace.
Laters.